Interested when we know what I expect of you. Give me a good, clean contest. Just remember to defend yourself at all times, unless you even shall stop boxing. Give me a good one.
So Jason Booth, who would hope, I would think, to move into world class over the next couple of years, definitely won't want any slip-ups here against this Abie Mnisi from South Africa. Quite experienced though, Mnisi now, and coming off a good, hard and close fight with former European champion Jesper Jensen in Denmark. That was for one of the lesser world titles. Purple trunks of Booth from Nottingham. As you've heard, he calls himself Jason Too Smooth Booth, and he was pretty smooth too the night he picked up these titles. Good technical fighter and improving power as well.
Well, he'll have gained a lot of confidence in that title win. That always, you know, boxers seem to grow in stature and everything when they win a title like that.
Mnisi was stopped in a couple of rounds by Simon Ramoni, who we saw over here beating Patrick Mullings and Michael Aldis, and he was beaten in 3 too within the last year or so by Daniel Ward, experienced fighter who we've also seen in Britain in the past. But usually he's more durable. Booth definitely a big favourite though. The Commonwealth Flyweight Championship being contested here. Slightly different problems for Booth to solve here than he had against Keith Knox, who charged in at him in straight lines, probably played into his hands a bit.
Well, Mnisi quite tall and rangy, and Booth with that wide stance, just losing a bit of height in doing that.
Looks to have quite fast hands, the South African, but his record doesn't speak of a great amount of power. Not usually, anyway. Good right hand from Booth. Short little right cross from him. It's good accuracy again from Booth with the right. Just beginning to work out what he has in front of him.
He's trying a few things. Booth turning the jab into an uppercut and come back with that right hand.
Mnisi has done a lot of his fighting in the townships of South Africa. Aston Villa Leisure Centre in Birmingham tonight, where Jason Booth is defending his Commonwealth Flyweight crown. I think he probably did enough to win the opening round, Glenn.
Yes, I think he did. That was a nice combination for him there. Just turn his jab into an uppercut and then come back with the right hand, and getting the better of that little exchange.
Round 2.
Second round coming up. Booth, one of 2 outstanding flyweights, young flyweights anyway, at the moment, from the British Isles. The other being Damien Kelly, the Irishman. A showdown between those two would be worth watching. People like Peter Coleshaw and Mickey Cantwell, who's with us tonight, also very much part of the scene. Stoppage win here would be particularly impressive by Booth. Mnisi's obviously prepared very well for the contest, bearing in mind in the past he's been an over the limit fighter, over the 8 stone limit, and he's coming at 7'12" here.
Yes, he's obviously worked for this fight. Maybe thought that he might struggle a little bit, but he's nice and comfortable. So obviously, you know, it's a good title from Mnisi. I mean, it's held in high regard, the Commonwealth title. So, you know, he'd feel very proud if he could take this home.
you would think that Booth would have the much superior power of these two. I wonder whether, once again, body punching might be the key for him.
He's just falling short a little bit, Booth, and Mnisi catching with that right hand. I see Booth bring his back foot up a little bit. His legs are very wide, and he loses height and power, I feel, by doing that.
Perhaps the most impressive performance of Booth's whole career has been the one fight that he lost against David Guerrero. He's now got a cut here, and he's just wobbled slightly by a right hand, it seemed then. I don't know whether that was a balance problem, but he's now got a cut by the side of the left eye, and definitely stung by that shot.
He was. That was a definite. He was hurt there, stung with a sharp right hand, and that's the punch Mnisi looks dangerous with. And now with the cut to contend with, things are not looking good for Jason Booth.
Suddenly, this looks a much harder proposition. Mnisi determined, and a good right uppercut on the inside from him twice too. Booth finding him a little bit difficult style-wise.
Well, he'll grow in confidence now, Mnisi, after this round. A good round for him.
He's made a dent on the champion here. Good test of Booth's mettle, this. Mnisi pretty busy to the body as well, and I think the South African will have won that round. Well, this could be harder than we thought.
It could be a lot harder. I mean, looking at when he got caught with the right hand, he did look shaken up from that. And it was a decent punch, got off with his own right, and then a quick short one. And look, just that stagger there, that was a good punch from Mnisi. Look at that, whipped that little right hand, and nice and short, and that really did take a little bit out of Booth.
Just a bit of a sort of silly dance, as they say, for a minute, wasn't it?
Yep, the old legs did the dip in the knees there. And you know, he was just hurt for a second.
I was saying about Booth that he had that fight with David Guerrero, who's world class, the Frenchman. We've seen him over here, and he floored Guerrero, Booth, and they gave him a very hard fight.
Round 3.
Lost it on points. It's his only defeat in 17 contests, Booth. But this looks like it might be tough for him. Mnisi beaten only 4 times. Twice by stoppage against Ward and Ramoni, as I was mentioning earlier. Looking for those right hands again, Mnisi.
A little better from Booth. He just needs to start putting his punches together, show a little bit more devil in his work. He's got to start stamping control on this fight.
This is a tough little man who's come from a hard background in that squatter camp. The area he comes from, by his own description, is crime infested. Little warning for Mnisi for punches around the back, landing on the back of Booth. Cut's not too bad for Booth by the side of the left eye at the moment. Doesn't look a big worry. Again, though, he's caught by that right. He's just got a tendency to let that left glove drift a bit low, and he's open to that shot.
I think the problem with Booth at this moment is he doesn't really know what he wants to do. You know, he doesn't seem as if he has a fight plan there. It's hard to gauge what, you know, how he's going to fight this fight.
Yes, I think the night he became British and Commonwealth champion, he knew exactly what he was trying to do against Knox. whose style is an open secret around the business, but this guy probably arrived as something of a mystery man to him.
Yes, he will have, and he's setting a different type of problem, and as yet Booth not really able to sort him out.
Well, he'd better start doing it quite fast.
He's just tapping away with little shots. I mean, he should be bending his knees and really trying to let some big shots go to the body inside there.
This again a very, very good right hand from Mnisi, who, as I was saying earlier, is not really noted as a puncher. Booth absorbed that one better than he did the one in the previous round, but it's getting difficult, this for Booth. Abie Mnisi, Little Rock, as he calls himself, is proving pretty tough here for Jason Booth.
Gets caught again with that overhand right. Booth just dipping away from that punch and leaving his chin exposed. He needs to start tightening up and get a bit more height. He's making himself too small by widening those legs.
This is the fourth round, due to go 12. Booth defending his Commonwealth Flyweight Championship. Obviously his British title is not on the line here. Finding holes in Booth's defence quite regularly, the South African.
And the problems also with Booth is he's pawing that jab. You know, he's not snapping it out sharp enough, so he's leaving it out there. And Mnisi, seeing the gap, is landing that right hand.
There've been one or two turn-ups for the book on this promotion tonight. I wonder if this might be another. Booth's got plenty of time to sort things out. You'd like to see him get his way inside and let go with his trademark body punches. No discernible strategy from the champion so far. Looks like he's just trying to make it up as he goes along. Mnisi, poker-faced, looks determined. Looks like he wants it very badly, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He looks as if he's come with a game plan, or he's certainly figured Booth out a lot quicker, and he knows the punch to find him with. Booth needs to up his work rate and start doing something a little different.
The South African, to me, Glenn, looks like the fighter who's come into this contest with just a slightly better mental edge for it.
Yes, he does. He just looks more sure of himself, more confident. Booth just looks a little distracted and just is finding it difficult to find his form.
Title wins last time out against Knox. It was a big night for him. I hope he hasn't regarded this as something mentally like after the Lord Mayor's show. Has to keep up the level of fire and motivation. He can turn things around.
There's a bit of blood around the nose of Mnisi. Booth has got through a couple of times with the left hook. Still, Mnisi is the one who looks the more dangerous.
You would like to see Booth's defence tighter than this, or you'd hope it would be if he was in with a world-class puncher, as he may be, or hopefully will be, later on in his career.
Finest early performances are recalled in our Big Fights series this Tuesday night at 10 on Sky Sports 3, including his first meeting with Frank Bruno, fights also against Michael Spinks, Pinklon Thomas and Trevor Berbick. That's Big Fights, Mike Tyson special, Tuesday evening at 10, Sky Sports 3.
And don't forget our exclusive one-on-one interview with Tyson, 6:30, Sky Sports 1 on Tuesday night. Very revealing, I can tell you. Here's the fifth round. Commonwealth Flyweight title. Booth in the purple trunks from Nottingham. A lot of his fans who tend to congregate at the Beechdale pub in Nottingham here to support him tonight. They might be a little anxious at the moment. No formality this, far from it.
Well, Mnisi is boxing as he wants. He's setting the pattern, and this is what Booth has to try and upset. He's got to try and, you know, push Mnisi around, make him do something. He's got to try and
break his rhythm.
You know, he's got to try and do something like that to get in the fight.
Break!
Did slightly better in the last round, Booth. Just up the tempo a little. Sharp looking little left hook from Mnisi.
Break! Come on. Straight away.
This is the kind of fight, though, Booth does have to win if he's really going anywhere internationally in boxing, because although Mnisi's quite solid and useful, he has been stopped a couple of times and beaten 4 times in 23 fights, so he's not exactly in the top strata of world opposition, is he?
No, he's not, although Ramoni is one of the people who stopped his campaign at a bigger weight, so that might have had an effect in that one. Both landing with decent punches. Just there.
Break! Come on.
Yeah, Ramoni would be a lot bigger. He was super bantamweight.
That's right. So that might have been a reason for getting stopped there.
So he'd have been giving away a good half a stone and more, I should think.
Over 2 hands, both of you.
Booth has been preparing for this fight, sparring with a variety of people, but mainly with Noel Wilders, who had a tough defence of his British bantamweight title the other night.
Well, I'd just like to see Booth grit his teeth and really start putting some punches together.
Just having an off night so far, Jason Booth.
Stop!
There's Jason Booth landing 8 to the body, Mnisi 20, but Booth more success to the head, and well, just 1 punch between them on total landed. That's what the computer printout is so far. I would think it's pretty close on the scorecard. Little cut by the left eye of Booth. Here's the 6th round. How are you scoring it so far, Glenn?
I've got Mnisi a couple of points ahead. I just think he's doing slightly the better work and with a bit more authority. Booth is just looking like he's in 2nd place at the moment, and he needs to start, you know, breaking the rhythm of Mnisi and start taking, you know, being the boss in there. He doesn't look the boss.
Needs to impose himself, Booth. Jason not so smooth, Booth tonight. Booth, who does his training in a gym which is in the back garden of his manager Mike Shinfield, and Mike's son Jason is the main trainer. It's a family affair. Sharp, squatting little counters coming from Mnisi. Hands are quick, and I think that's a problem for Booth.
Yes, it is. I think Booth is thinking about what Mnisi's doing too much. Instead of doing his own thing, you know, he's got to start being more positive with his work. You know, he's yeah, right from the start, he's for some reason had this wide stance, and he's pulling himself down in height and pulling himself away from the punches. He needs to stand upright a bit more, get a bit more height, and really let these punches go forward.
Kelly, who's been boxing since he was 10 years old. That's where he started at the Radford, Booth, I should say, at the Radford Boys Club, which was where Harold Graham made his name. I only mentioned the name Kelly because Damien Kelly's his main rival in the British Isles. That's a bit better from Booth, doubling up on the jab. He hasn't been able to do anything like that much. A little bit of a mark on the cheek of Mnisi underneath his left eye. It's nothing much.
Again, it's not a good round for Booth, who just is struggling with this.
Basically, the message from the corner needs to be wake your ideas up a little bit. Doesn't want it to carry on like this because it could get uncomfortably close for him. Here's the rankings, we reckon, in Britain so far. Booth at the top. Behind him, Liverpool's Peter Coleshaw, then Damien Kelly, who has this cuts problem. Keith Knox beaten by Booth last time. Mickey Cantwell with us tonight. Well, he's veteran campaigner now, he won't mind me saying that, but still could be a big factor. Ian Napper on the way through there. And then you've got Dave Caldwell, Nicky Booth, Lee Georgiou and Delroy Spencer making up the British top 10 in the 8 stone division.
Second out. And
7th round. No doubt about it, though, after his sparkling display last time, Jason Booth was in the pink trunks. He's been a disappointment tonight, hasn't he, to us?
He really has. Just hasn't looked on the best of form. You're never getting in control of this fight. And he just doesn't seem to be able to fathom the style out or get into this. And it's not a good performance. He really needs to start gritting his teeth and going forward and looking to put some shots together. He's too much on the back foot.
Well, it's that tired old phrase again, but it's very true. In this case, styles do make fights, and Booth is struggling to make sense of this particular opponent's style. And the result of that is that he's often looked fairly tentative.
Right, stand back. Right away, no shots. No, stand back.
No judges scoring this, by the way, only referee Paul Thomas.
Booth is starting to try and get his jab working more. He's got to be more forceful with that punch. Really thrust it out there.
Becoming a technical and attritional sort of fight. Neither fighter really in what you would call serious control of things.
Well, Booth, when he throws the jab, he's catching Mnisi. You'd like to see him do it a little more sharpness, and then push forward. He's too content to throw a jab out and take a step back.
Get him off the inside.
Now, there are always going to be nights like this for fighters, and they just have to work through it and get the job done somehow and move on to the next thing.
Well, a fight like this is when really a fighter's character comes in, and it's hard. It might be slipping away and things, you can't get control, and really that's where you need strength of mind, and you really have to go for it a bit.
It's a bit like a football team having to grit out a result even when they're not playing well.
That's right, and that's what it needs. He's going to need. It's a tough fight. The style's not really working for Booth, but he's got to grit this out, and he's got to show some determination and, you know, throw a lot more punches. Luckily in this round, Mnisi hasn't done a great deal, and Booth may well have just stole it with a jab.
Mike and Jason Shinfield working the corner with Jason Booth. Also has wins over the likes of Mark Reynolds, who he beat in 3 rounds, 2 over Louis Beach, who's pretty long in the tooth now. Was always a star in his amateur days at 16 schools, junior ABA, boys club champion, at 17 European junior championships, and then at 18 turned pro.
Well, the punches landed him. Mnisi just with more landing, better success rate with Booth. He's more economical. Mnisi throwing more.
Second out.
5 rounds to go.
Round 8.
This is the 8th of 12 then. Hard labour and heavy weather for Jason Booth in defence of his Commonwealth Flyweight Championship. Have to say, if he was to let this one slip, it would be a shock defeat, because although Mnisi's record looked handy, you'd have to say it didn't look anything more than that going in. To be honest with you, I thought Booth would stop him.
Yes, you'd have to agree, looking at the records and the form that Booth was in. He's not showing that form here. And really, it just needs much more of an effort. I mean, one of the things he hasn't done is look to put punches together. You know, it's single punches, you know, the odd 1-2, but he needs, you know, really just to go for it, start letting combinations go. And I think that's the only way he's going to upset the rhythm of Mnisi.
I think he's going to have to win this fight on work rate now, Booth. He's never had the South African in any trouble. Good body shot though there from Booth, getting in with a couple of little right crosses. Styles not gelling too happily in terms of making it a spectacle. And the world scene in this division just lacking a bit in terms of charisma at the moment. There's one guy who's the champion called Medguan 3K Battery from Thailand. I think that's the sponsors or something. And one Sawn Pichai Kratin Dine Jim. I hope we don't have to commentate on him anytime soon.
Yeah, we're going to struggle, aren't we? Battery's all right.
3K Battery, yeah, great name. And you thought the sport was crazy here.
Well, it has been. Well, Mnisi trying to pick up with his own jab towards the end of the round. Booth having the better with his early on.
Might just be nicking this round, Booth. And Mnisi's work just dropping off a little and not quite as sharp. It's out of range a few times.
Not a great deal in these rounds, neither one landing with anything that effective.
I think I'd just give this one to Booth myself. So how are we scoring it now, Glenn? What do we think?
Well, I've got them Mnisi 2 points ahead. There we've got it, 78-76 at this stage. Mnisi's work rate has dropped off a little, but Booth not really capitalised on it, not really trying to take over this fight. And neither man looking in that much of a hurry.
I've got Booth by 1 at this stage.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion here.
Yeah.
Nice body shot from Booth there.
You clearly don't agree with it. Well, you obviously don't. You've got it by 2 to Mnisi. But seriously, though, I mean, joking aside, they're very tough rounds to.
They are very
score.
tough. It is difficult to score. It really is. Just in what you see in the round, neither one is taking over this fight.
It's not one of those fights really where you'd give anybody that serious an argument either, is it?
No, don't worry, and I'm not going to give you a serious argument.
I'll make a change. Here's the 9. Red trunks, the South African. Abie Mnisi. Fought in the Johannesburg townships of Soweto and Alexandra. Not many of his victories over anybody that means too much. When he's been moved up in class, he's tended to lose. Getting a bit swollen and angry, that left eye of Booth now. Been sparring with a strongish bantamweight in Noel Wilders for this fight, Booth, so he'd be giving away weight.
Yeah, you think his preparation would be good. I think he'll have worked hard, and obviously Wilders would be good work in the gym for sparring. But I think, you know, just his attitude in this fight, maybe he just mentally or subconsciously just took it a little bit light. You know, you've got to realise you win a championship, you step up another level, so the opposition gets that bit better. And obviously you've got to work that much harder yourself.
And when you become a champion, of course, you're forever defending the titles against hungry fighters who want to go places and want to take those belts away from you. And not too many easy rides. They would have hoped, I think, that this would be a rather softer defence than it's proved to be. That's a good right hand, that, from Mnisi. Then a body punch to follow, and a right uppercut on the inside, too, from him.
Break! Coming out. No shots. No shot break, no shots.
Again, the right to the body from Mnisi, who scores well with his jab, but there's no follow-up shots from him. He's not getting off any combinations off the jab.
No, he's boxing like somebody who you'd think was in control, just standing off with that jab. I mean, really, it needs a big effort here. He's got to try and, you know, take something away from Mnisi.
Mike Tyson tops our bill for the next week. The countdown to Tyson against Francis every night from Tuesday. We start 6:30 Sky Sports 1. All the news each day from both camps and all the rest of us supporting cast in Manchester. In the Big Fight series, Tuesday night at 10 on Sky Sports 3. Several of Mike Tyson's early highlights, including the fight in 1986 against Trevor Berbick and the fascinating story of Tyson's life in and out of the ring so far, Friday night at 9, Sky Sports 1. Tyson's first appearance in a UK ring against the British heavyweight champion Julius Francis, Saturday night from 9 o'clock next, live only on Sky Box Office. For information, 0990 800 888, and for Sky Digital viewers, see channel 770 for details.
Second out. Round 10.
10th round. Continues this, if we're honest with you, to be a bit flat and disappointing as a Commonwealth Flyweight Championship fight. I thought this would be better than this. I expected Booth to sparkle more than he has tonight. All fighters are allowed the odd off night, but he's got to get through this and win it still. And you think he's behind, don't you, Glenn?
I do. I think I've got him 3 points ahead. I've just got Mnisi pinching it. He's just stealing it.
You've got Mnisi 3 points ahead.
Sorry,
you mean, don't
Mnisi.
you? Yeah.
I do. Mnisi 3 points ahead. Just stealing these rounds, I feel.
I thought Mnisi certainly won that last one. 9 minutes left of this. If Glenn's scorecard is right. Booth needs all these last 3 rounds. But no telling how referee Paul Thomas may be scoring it.
Booth threatening there, shaking the left hand a bit, but not throwing the punch, and that's what he needs to do. He's got to start really going for this now.
I'll tell you what, the Nottingham fans of Booth, who were very noisy early on, are sitting there in almost total silence now. They could be watching a particularly dull passage of play in a county championship cricket match.
Well, I think that tells the story, doesn't it? That tells you that, you know, they're not really excited about the work of Booth, and maybe they feel that, you know, he is just coming second.
I think we should have judges in these Commonwealth Championship fights. I do.
I think, you know, British fights and Commonwealth fights should all have judges. I think the referee has enough to do in controlling the fight without having to judge as well. It's you know, it's very difficult.
Yeah, we're lagging behind the rest of the world. It's time we got in line. Probably could do with 3 opinions on this one as well. A little bit of a low blow from Booth. He managed to produce a decent left off the back of that. Looked a little bit tired, Mnisi, there, as he held on, breathing quite heavily for a moment there.
Yes, he hasn't done a great deal on this round. Booth maybe doing slightly more, but not a lot.
Another tough to score round, wasn't it?
Well, they all have been. I mean, it's really just how you know, what you're looking for in the round. I mean, for the most part, I think Mnisi is just stealing these rounds. You know, he's not winning them big by any means, but he's just doing a little bit more. And for some reason, Booth hasn't tried to take control of this fight.
You thought Booth just won that last round, yeah?
I thought he maybe just a little busier. Not a great deal in it, but just slightly, you know, trying to get that jab to work.
Punches landed so far, and Mnisi, few more. That's the computer's reading of things. The computer doesn't score the fight itself. There are people watching the fight who press buttons. Good judges. But, it's quite hard to see what exactly is landing. One of these days there will be a computer watching it and scoring at the same time, and we'll all be out of business.
That was a nice punch from Booth there, just turning the jab into an uppercut, and then a good left hook.
I wonder what Booth's corner have been telling him.
Well, if I was in the corner, I'd be telling him to work a lot harder and giving him a slap around the kisser, I think, and a bit more urgency, to get a bit more urgency into his work.
What was that, a slap round the kisser? I think really has to go out there and, as the Americans might say, close the show now.
Well, to be fair, he hasn't really opened the show on this night.
Yeah, that's right, the curtains have stayed closed a bit, haven't they? Mind you, it looks a difficult guy to fight, doesn't he, to be fair?
It does, but I think that the problem with Booth is he's standing back and trying to puzzle him out. Now, some opponents, you just can't do that, so what you've got to do is push them on the back foot and see what they've got. And I think it might be a different story with Mnisi if he is on the back foot, if he does have to deal with that, where Booth has just stood, you know, in range, trading jabs and punches at that distance.
Put the older number inside.
Corner have done a good job with the cut. It's never really got seriously worse from the time it happened. which was quite early in the fight. And if this does go against him, it would be a pretty serious setback for Jason Booth and his reputation, because one or two people inside the business had marked him down as a young fighter who might be going places.
Another nice uppercut from Booth. This fight's never really took off. It's never quite blended right to be entertaining.
I think the word you're looking for is boring, isn't it?
That was the one.
Yeah.
The word I was scrambling in the dark to find.
There's no two ways about it. No way you can wrap this one in any kind of glossy paper. It's a dull fight, a dull technical fight, and a tough to score fight with a lot of close rounds in it. So I mean, we're making an effort, a stab at scoring it for you, but the referee's scorecard could be totally different to that. It really could be.
Yes, it could be. I mean, the rounds are very, very close, and you know, I wouldn't go too much off mine. That's what I feel. A lot of the rounds, Mnisi just stole them. I thought the last round was a one for Booth, just the more solid the punches, doing a bit more. But really it needed a much bigger effort for him, you know, to win this comfortably.
Seconds out for the 12th and final round.
12th and final round. Jason Booth, the British and Commonwealth Flyweight champion, who plays the piano in his spare time but has been hitting a lot of flat notes here.
Well said.
And the workman-like Abie Mnisi. Workman-like, but not much more than that. He doesn't look a world-class flyweight or anything like it, does he, Mnisi?
No, he looks short of that. There's a decent punch went in there from Booth, a little bit more devil shown.
He's needed to up the tempo, Booth, before now. Little right hand to the body from Booth as well. Nice clean shot with the right hand. Just the suspicion maybe that Booth has done slightly the better work in the closing rounds. Just got a hunch that his hand might be lifted at the end in a close fight on home territory, but let's see. It's no more than a hunch. This is a tougher one to work out than the Times crossword, isn't it?
It really is. Not that I attempt the Times crossword that often.
Just as well, I reckon.
Thanks, yeah.
.60 seconds left.
Well, I'm not really sure what he's trying to do in there. Booth, you know, they're just throwing arms, flaying away. You know, I think a step back, step to side, put a bit more meat into some of these punches.
Well, Booth, I think, will just be happy if he can get through this and get his arm lifted at the end, and they can go away and maybe plan the campaign from there and forget about what has been an off night, albeit against a difficult and determined opponent, but a basically limited one.
Yes, if he's going to be a threat at the European or world level, Booth, he's got to work a lot harder and show a lot more determination and drive than he has in this fight.
He's still quite inexperienced. It's only his 18th pro fight tonight, and maybe there's a bit of that blended into this, but closing seconds now, and we have to wonder which way this might go. Final bell, Booth does get it. The Mnisi camp look a little bemused. I think they felt their man had gone very, very close there. And certainly on Glenn's scorecard he did. You had it level at the end, did you?
Came on level at the end. I give Booth the last round to make it level, a little bit more work. It was, there's my scorecard, 115-115.
I did have it to Booth by 2, but as I said to you earlier, it's not something you could get very worked up about. A lot of those rounds were very, very close.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, referee Paul Thomas has scored the contest for Mnisi 114 points, for Booth 116 points. The winner, and still the Commonwealth Flyweight champion from Nottingham, Jason
6 rounds to 4 with 2 even was how it was scored, and we'll have a word with Jason Booth after this break.